Aries, this is your June 2022 soul story. This is Romy. Thank you so much for taking the time to tune in. If you have a sun rising or moon is in the sign, this is a reading for you. We're going to give you some intuitive messages and some of the important astrological dates to look out for so that we can empower you as you move through these next few weeks. So we're into Gemini season and we're going to be working with that third house energy. And I suppose the question I want you to be asking of yourself this month, Aries, is what would make it feel easier? What would make it feel easier? I have a sense that there's something that you are preparing yourself to cut out of your life, because there's an understanding, I think, in a really powerful way. Your heart has been stimulated into action, that your health belongs to you when you are willing to, in some aspects, like cut permanent ties with the people, the situations, or the things that are making you unwell. And we have the Three of Cups coming in here because in and of itself, this is a celebration. It is a time to recognize that you are putting yourself first. You are recognizing the things that are going to bring more balance into your life. They're going to give you a better opportunity to really do things that light you up. And there are going to be some really important, I want to say almost like alliances that you make with people alongside some of those self-directed goals that you are also putting into place for yourself. So the Three of Cups suggests that there's some beautiful things that we need to be readying ourselves to celebrate, some important events that I need you to be making time for. And if there are things that are getting in the way, if there are things that are blocking your progress or stopping you from being able to say yes to things, then you have to think to yourself, what is it going to take to make this situation in my life easier? From that place, we can start to address things one by one. Remember, in the third house, we're dealing with a lot of short-term tactical decisions. Now, Mercury is going to be going direct in Taurus on the 3rd of the month, so it will lift some of the barriers that we've had around communication. That's important as we're in the third house because it's obviously ruled by Gemini, and your language, the way that you are talking to yourself, how you're articulating yourself, what other people are attaching to that, the meaning that's being derived from what you say, all of that is being put under the spotlight, and a time for review is taking place. And I think what you're really starting to understand more and more is what is really true for you and what has been inherited. And when I say inherited, that could be from your upbringing. It may be from more ancestral past life connections. It could be inherited just from the friendship groups, the partnerships and relationships, or the collective energy that's around you right now. So there's a big kind of sense of clearing out. And as we come to an understanding of what it is that we need to clear out, there's so much more generative, creative, fertile, rich energy for you to play with. I love that we've got another 3 coming in here. I do think that you need to be aware of there being some outside opinion and influence that's going to come in and try to wade in when you've already made your mind up, okay? And you have to be, I think, as clear as you possibly can with yourself that what you are doing does have meaning, because if there's no substance, then it's going to be harder to stay committed to it and to have the perseverance needed to see something through. If it doesn't have meaning for you, you're more likely to be able to be persuaded or distracted in a different direction. Now, that doesn't have to be bad, but it feels to me not the right way for you this month, because of course we've got Jupiter in your sign, we've got Mars in your sign now. These are really powerful, potent energies to help drive and fuel you forward to really accomplish and achieve something that's very significant and very important for you. Now, the thing is that in Gemini season, we have a lot of this duality playing out, and it means that the ambiguity is very difficult because there is at times no clear answer. The Three of Wands suggests that you're being invited to step up, to take a role that is perhaps stretching you. We need you to have courage and confidence in the belief in self. And yet at the same time, it may be that you're not being given all the information, or you have one hand tied behind your back. We're also going to see Saturn shifting retrograde in the sign of Aquarius on the 4th. excuse me, just after Mercury goes direct. And, you know, Saturn is the disciplinarian and really deals with our relationship to reality. Here we have the King of Swords coming in as a little bit of a damp squid to the party here. I kind of feel like he's saying, okay, great, here's all these big ideas and plans. Here's all the things that you're going to be doing. Have you really thought this through? Because here we have to revisit commitments. We have to review our boundaries. We have to start thinking about the long-term impact and vision, which might be difficult because the energy is also gearing you towards having to make short-term tactical decisions. So you're having to kind of balance that out, not just in terms of how it might affect you, but how it might affect other people. So how can we hold that ambiguity? How can we allow these multiple perspectives to sort of sit? And the more open we can be to the possibilities that might be able to be considered, it really helps you to detach from the outcome a little bit. And I do think that's quite important because that's going to stop you getting frustrated or feeling like you're being blocked. So there's a requirement here to be very, very clear about what your heart is asking for you and really the meaning that you are attaching to it. What is going to make it feel easier for you to be able to follow through on that? Prioritizing your health, and being able to look at what you need to cut out in the process. Now, when I say that, there's a little bit of a heads up here, because what they're showing me is this kind of energy of sort of ghosting, kind of gaslighting situation. So you may be on the receiving end of that from somebody, or you yourself just feel, well, I need to reassert my boundaries, therefore I need to cut off. Let's be aware that this is a month where everybody's going to feel deeply triggered and very sensitive, even slightly paranoid as to what people are thinking or saying or how they're responding. And all of us are having the opportunity to really sit in our own energy field and observe and witness our own behavior and our own emotional responses to things. And if you're enacting a healthy boundary, then that's absolutely what you must do. But if you find yourself just moving into a bypassing or avoidance situation, there's something that's going to have to come back around to be dealt with again. So think carefully about those interactions and how you're being directed and where that's being fueled by. Remember, if you have fear and you ignore it, it's constantly going to feel like there's something looming around the corner for you, and we don't want you to have that experience. Rather, we talk about it, we're upfront, we say the difficult thing, and then we neutralize its power and we can move on. Now, your Two of Pentacles here suggests that there is some situation where you're having to juggle. You have the resourcefulness to be able to do it, but it might be stretching you beyond your means. It might be feeling like you've just taken on too much. And really, there's a sense of you feeling like, I can't do anything as well as I want to because there's simply not enough time. There's either not enough time, not enough energy, not enough resources, not enough financial support to be able to help you to achieve what it is that you are looking to do. Now, you've got your Three of Cups with these three women holding you up here. So there's some support to come in. Are you open to receiving it? It's not selfish to say what it is that you want. In fact, it's a requirement, because otherwise you might end up just kind of presenting an air of sort of capability that isn't actually true to where you're at. And oftentimes people need to be able to feel that they can be generous and supportive and giving in terms of what they show up to do for you. So just make sure that you are open to that at the same time if you feel like there is something that you, at this moment in time, temporarily just cannot simply manage completely on your own. And now this is a bit of a temporary situation, and we have that kind of sense of duality. So it feels like it's going through Gemini season. Once we flip into Cancer from the 21st of the month, I think things will lighten in your load in that way. Now, a couple of dates for you to look out for. On the 10th and the 11th, there's some beautiful earth energy working its magic. We have Mercury trining Pluto on the 10th, Mercury in Taurus, Pluto in Capricorn. And then on the 11th, we've got Venus in Taurus, conjunct Uranus in Taurus. There may be some unusual, interesting, surprising encounters and conversations that take place at that moment. Again, I want to say, don't be concerned about being selfish in terms of asking for what you need or putting yourself first. It's also helping you to be less accepting of being manipulated, and that can come through in very subtle ways. Just people saying, oh, this is what you need, this is what you want, Aries, this would be good for you. And, you know, you can kind of end up just sort of thinking, oh yeah, okay, that's what I should do. But actually it's not what your heart is telling you, you know, and this is a real month to be listening to your body, because that mind, body, spirit connection is being the expansion of the awareness and the sensitivity that you've got, really, to understanding what's going on in your body and what you need in any given moment is kind of reaching new levels of mastery, and it's important to pay attention to that. Now, your Seven of Pentacles right in the middle of the reading here, you're taking stock of something and you are in a little bit of a waiting game. Is this going to work? Is this going to pan out where I've invested myself? What am I about to see in terms of the results? I think you can fully expect to be pleasantly surprised in terms of what is going to come through by way of the harvest or by way of the results. What I do need to say is it might not come as instantaneously as you want it to. We may have some things that we need to deal with first or to overcome, but ultimately, you know, if it's come from a place of being fueled by love, by passion, by heart, from a place of integrity, that regardless, the experience has shaped you and really helped you to come home to yourself in a really powerful way. And so from that perspective, you know, even if there were one or two mistakes made along the way, a mistake is only ever really a mistake if you haven't learned something from it. And you're not thoughtful with yourself, because you're going to end up repeating it again. But where there's been discernment and understanding, even if through the process or as part of the unfolding of this, it wasn't perfect. Well, nothing is perfect, Aries. So don't move into that kind of an energy with yourself. I also feel there's some interesting, again, options that may alleviate some of the pressure or the challenge that you've got on yourself in relation to time, money, energy. And again, that is about you then being open and almost setting a deliberate intention to want to draw that towards you as well, okay? Make sure it's important that you're actually asking for the things that matter to you. If you don't know what you want, and it may absolutely be the case for some of you that you feel like really spun out still, and that this year has kind of knocked you about, and that eclipse season may have come along and uprooted some of your plans, or, you know, there may have been some powerful shifts and changes with exits of people out of your life. So if you're finding yourself in that place, and maybe it's a bit disagreeable and you're a bit unhappy about what you've seen manifesting for you on the path, this is the month where we want you to go experiment. We want you to go and be rebellious in the sense of, well, you know what, if I don't know what I want, I may as well try a little bit of everything. You know, we're going to have Venus shifting into Gemini later in the month, and I think that'll be really supportive, actually, of not feeling too sort of stuck or aligned or committed to any one course of action, even any one person. So it's just like, allow yourself to just go out back into the world and say, well, what's on offer? And I think that can really help bring some new inspiration and clarity for you in some instances. Now, we're going to have a full moon this month in fellow fire sign Sagittarius on the 14th of the month. And I think this is going to be a really powerful time in June for you, Aries. It's like the domination of all of the element of fire is helping to transmute a lot of things that have felt for you like they've been hanging around for a really long time unresolved. And I think you're able to draw a line and give yourself some closure. What does that do? We've got the energy of Temperance, which of course does link into Sagittarius. It allows you to just find a balance for yourself. It allows you to find a way forward. If somebody else has been blocking or delaying, or circumstances and situations have stopped that from happening, then you seem to be taking control and matters back into your own hand at that moment, and you find a way. And what I like about this is it's definitely coming from a place is what's going to work for you, because that matters. Like, we have to prioritize that, because not everybody else might be doing it for you. But ultimately, I still see you being very fair in that, and I feel like you're still taking into consideration the impact, the influence, and what other people may need from that. But if they are simply not in a position, unwilling, too fearful or confused to be able to find that way forward, you seem to take it upon yourself and find the right energy balance, and you've got some beautiful blessings coming in here. So finding that sort of moderation is important. Remember also what I said about this having to cut something out, because in order to find balance again within our body, within our energy field, what you might be feeling very strongly this month is that I can no longer tolerate this thing. So, maybe we have to sort of say goodbye to the coffee. Maybe we have to say goodbye to that one person that's just really causing us repetitive depletion in our energy. Maybe it's about saying, I can't continue to stay in this environment. So there is something I do feel you're going to be making a strong call on. And by that full moon, there it is. It's sort of, it's been almost consecrated in your mind. Like, this is it. There's no going back. And I don't actually think you will. I think there's a fairly permanent adjustment that you're prepared to take. And even though initially it may feel to you like there's a loss there, grief is necessary for us to be able to kind of come undone from old attachments. And this river of emotional debris that you're clearing out is, in fact, the very thing that's also guiding you into the beautiful big ocean of kind of who you're becoming, and all of the mysteries and all of the information and wisdom you're yet to unearth and sort of solve about your life path and who you are and what you want. So it's a really necessary component to what it is that you're going through this month. So, as your heart is stimulated into action, please really follow through with yourself. Don't go halfway. This is not a month for you to go halfway. It's not a year for you to go halfway. We already kind of said this in previous readings. You're all in right now. There is no other way for Aries at the moment. And, what we're trying to do is eliminate or get very clear and observe and witness anyone or anything that is repeatedly sort of putting the brakes on, or holding back the natural flow and momentum of your energy. Rather experience some of that grief in terms of the loss or the absence of something, but still feel the progression and the momentum and being able to make space for all of the wonderful things, than stay stuck in the stagnancy of something where you may have it, but it actually doesn't make you feel that good. So it's not a difficult choice when you really get down to it, So on the 21st, we're going to welcome in the sun in Cancer and the solstice energy in June. Beautiful time to help to rebalance our energy field. We also have Venus trining Pluto on that day. Very important, again, for people coming into your life. You may be incredibly inspired by somebody during that time, and maybe working with somebody who helps to draw something out of you. We've got the Empress energy here, so that divine feminine mother archetype. And here she sits in her greatness, in a beautiful state of abundance. And this is a gorgeous depiction of the Empress. And so again, I just feel such a sense of like loving, tender, compassionate, very protective energy. So someone being very protective of you through the course of this month, as you may move through some challenges or difficult emotional experiences that are very complex that you have to navigate. It's important that you don't mute, suppress, or disown in any way the way that you're been trying to find your place in the world, and I do think that the situation, the experience, or even the person that's showing up by way of the Empress is a reflection of you being able to kind of find that thing within you that says, I'm ready to sort of step into my sense of empoweredness here and to take charge and take control. Now, the thing with the Empress is she doesn't force anything. Yeah, and you have Temperance here, you have the Empress here, and even the Seven of Pentacles. All of these energies are quite passive. They're allowing things to come in gently, naturally. They're working with the cycles, not against them. Very important. The Empress knows at any given moment what the earth needs in order to see it deliver its bounty. And if you're waiting for something to come into harvest, something to progress, there's nothing about you having to go out and hustle for it. There just isn't. So this is not a month to kind of try to go against whatever your own natural body rhythm is telling you. And as we come into Cancer season, 4th house energy, it's all about how you are tending to those very intimate, sacred spaces within yourself and directly around you that help to facilitate a feeling of peace and balance and emotional centeredness. It's about how you inner parent yourself, especially in the mother side, and perhaps a reflection of going back over the impact of strong feminine energy in your life and, you know, maybe releasing and doing some inner work around that and some healing to help facilitate, you know, you being able to actually be confident to assert and to communicate and articulate what it is that you need. I think there's a strong feeling, especially for those women who are tuning into the reading, that, you know, where you have been suppressed and asking for what it is that you need to serve your emotional needs directly. There's an awful lot of like womb healing and around that sacral energy that is being required of you at this moment in time, okay? So we also have this abundance flowing, beautiful abundance, rich, fertile energy for you to be working with, which creatively gives you an incredible charge. I think if you've got an idea, you have to not be afraid to just boldly like put it out there. Now, we want to be careful in Gemini season because that sort of scattered energy like can go quick like wildfire, and you can have an idea and all of a sudden it's become someone else's. But ultimately, I think from a work perspective, a career, anything you're trying to do altruistically, creatively, I think there's something this month that wants to be expressed and owned by you. Like, own it. Yes, it's come from my inspiration, you know, my experiences. Somebody else may have done something similar. It doesn't matter, because your unique energy that's woven into it is what's going to make it a success. Absolutely, okay? And again, it may be the thing that helps you to balance out where there has been some imbalance in your life, because you are going to be looking with that Two of Pentacles and Temperance to find a state of balance through this. Is very important. And June is really helping us to do that as we work with the mental plane in Gemini and then the heart space in Cancer. It's really balancing out the heart and the mind. Now, we're also going to see Neptune shifting retrograde this month on the 28th, which is the same day as there's going to be a new moon in Cancer. So we have the Hanged Man, which links into the sign of Neptune. What's going to happen here? We absolutely strip the illusion away of something. Now, that might mean that you get some information or news, or you see something in a cold, hard light of day. That could be a little bit difficult to digest. Okay, so you're going to have to be super compassionate and loving and kind with yourself when that lands. It is not here to punish you. It is here to give you an opportunity to reevaluate and to readdress your priorities and to set off on your new path with that new moon energy, your seeds of intention for the next cycle, with a much more tempered approach, and again, one that feels, and I don't want to say realistic, it's not about having to be realistic. I want you to be wildly unrealistic and magical and still absolutely believe in your ability to manifest whatever you desire. But what I think we're going to be stripping away is parts of you that have disowned or, you know, not being able to deal with some of the, perhaps like the fears that are being buried. And like we said, we want to kind of face that so we can neutralize things. So it can feel a bit harsh, but actually what the guides are saying to me is it helps you to look at it in a different way. And then from that perspective, you find an approach that is so much more satisfying and actually much more nourishing for you, even though you may have thought that you were going to figure it out in like an old approach and it would work because that's what's always worked for you before. I think this month has come in to say no, like something has to shift, something has to give. Now, we do have a little bit of slowing down energy going on here, which I think might be a bit tough, and it's a little surprising with all of that Aryan energy in Mars and Jupiter, but maybe that's also about helping us to not be too impulsive and too rash and not kind of bolt before we've had chance to evaluate what all of the options and all of the choices are, okay? So if you feel a little bit frustrated because people around you or the energy that surrounds a situation feels like it's slowing you down, just take a breath and take a beat and say, well, is there something new that I haven't considered or thought of? Because I feel like you're going to have a little bit of another choice that emerges through that time. And I'm looking at this from sort of full moon onwards, so kind of 14th through the end of the month, all right, if you feel like something gets a little bit delayed. But what comes, look, we've got this beautiful star that she's reaching for, leaping over all of the sunflowers, giving this joy, energy, vitality. What I really like is that you sort of have this Three of Cups being supported from underneath. You've got the Empress kind of holding that space, and it's allowing this sense of recognition and victory in some kind of situation. And she's leaping over her heart here. So again, it's coming from a place of your heart being stimulated and it having meaning for you. And so this is what makes the difference for me. This is where we start to see the success of something coming in. And you're trailblazing here. We know this about you anyway, Aries, but you're a pioneer, you're trailblazing. There's something different, a unique approach, and you're getting some recognition and validation for it. There's even something quite public that comes in as a result of that, okay? What we do need to just be mindful of is that you are not caught up too much in what the opinion and influence of others means. If you decide to measure the result or measure the success of something based on what is being reflected back to you, specifically, statistically, numbers wise, I think it's not going to necessarily give you a true picture of what's going on. Rather, we need to sink into the heart space and really think, well, how has my energy changed? How different do I feel? Does it feel easier? Because that was the whole directive for you for this month, making life easier for yourself. And if that's the case, but the numbers don't quite add up to where you want to get to yet or reflect what you want to see, then give that time, because ultimately the most important thing is that we're bringing in this state of balance and peace for yourself. From that place, we then start to be more generative in terms of how we're drawing in abundance, okay? So this is where we can start to deal with these blocks, irritations, and opportunities that I really think it's about Saturn coming through, that disciplinarian, to say, okay, if we're going to do it, let's do it right this time. Let's not go half-assed. Let's just make sure that this time is the right time to you, for you to actually see this as a more permanent shift and change for yourself. And I love what comes in with that, because it feels really optimistic. And I think across the board for you, Aries, this month, regardless whether it be relationships, professionally, what's going on within your own journey, in and around you and your pathways, that is set to make you feel more liberated and more confident and increase your sense of self-belief. Okay, so let's have a look at the Oracle cards, see how it wants to join this conversation for you. There may be opportunities this month where you are really seeking, I think, to kind of escape the harshness, balance again, the harshness of the material world. And it's probably your devotion to your spiritual path that's going to help you achieve that. Not from a bypassing perspective, but just a need to channel a different type of energy, a pure energy, a truth that resonates with you, not the energy of sort of people trying to incite more fear and more panic. Now, this balancing act again has come through, so the requirement for this is very important. We have the ship, it's literally balanced on a bubble here, an orb. It looks kind of precarious, she looks a little bit unsure, and yet at the same time, like the angelic presence that's around this, even look the hearts that are kind of scattered down here. So it is meaningful. There's some clouds here, so there's a little bit of confusion and uncertainty, but we're working with a master number 11. 11, of course, also links into the Justice card and the Tarot, so again, we're talking about karmic balancing here as well. And you're charting a new course, and when you do that, there is always a level of meeting the future with a sense of uncertainty, because we don't know every single detail that's going to play out, whether we're making the right choice or decision for ourselves. All we can do is trust in how we feel after we make those choices. And then regardless of what we're observing with our physical eyes, we also have to use our spiritual vision and trust in the energy that we feel, because sometimes it takes that little bit longer for the physical manifestation to show up, okay? So you've got to trust in how you're being directed, but a firm focus on what is going to maintain, sustain, or bring in more balance for me is really going to be an important question to be projecting out there for yourself in June. Okay, let's have a look at your astrology cards. Okay, you have the 11th house and community. Okay, so Aquarian ruled, and we have this kind of almost like picking apart this kind of sacred geometry here, but you're pulling apart to then put back together. So there's a reordering. So there may be shifts and changes happening within group dynamics, within how you are engaging with friendships around you, the type of technology that you're using. Your experiences through retrograde may have given you some firm decisions of, I no longer want to use this platform. It has not been supportive or helpful for me, but you know, there'll be a lot of shifts that I think you want to make, again deeply rooted in this sense of what is going to make it easier for me, what is going to make it easier for me. And remember, the 11th house is also about how we attach new meaning to our hopes and dreams, which is really beautiful. So I think you've got a resurgence and some fire energy coming in with that 3 of Wands that I love for you, and the 6 of Wands, denoting that there's some success that's overdue on its way to you. And I really think that is important in just helping you validate again with that sense of keep going. Yeah, keep going. Okay, Aries, I wanted to just share with you a few cards from my new Oracle deck, Life Soul Vision, which is coming out at the end of July. Thank you to those of you who've already pre-ordered and supported me with the Kickstarter campaign. So I wanted to give you a quick preview of some of the images. You can find the link for the full preview of the deck and to pre-order your own with some savings and a bonus gift still before the general release at the end of July, okay? Can't wait to start using this deck fully with you. But just to give you a little bit of a insight just now. Okay, so what we have done is given you a general reading for the month of June. I'm going to invite you to think about a personal question now that might not have come up in the main spread. Let's go ahead and pull you some cards that we will discuss in the extended reading, Aries. If you are new to the channel, you will find the link for that in the comment and description box underneath. And it's a way to receive another 25 minutes of insights for the month ahead, as well as to support me in the channel, which means I can keep showing up and doing the free readings every month. So thank you so much if the reading resonates and you feel inspired to join me. Okay, let's have a look at the 3 of Cups. We have the Queen of Wands coming in. I love that. It's your card. And the Hierophant. Take what you've learned, Aries. Okay, Judgment. There's that cutting it out. Major decision made. King of Swords. You are so defiant in it as well. It's like when it, you know, sometimes it can take us a while to arrive, finally, at a choice or a decision. And then when we get there, it becomes like nobody can persuade us otherwise. That's what the universe is wanting from you this month. Another 7 of Pentacles coming in there. And the energy of the Emperor. So you've got Empress and Emperor, but I like that for you as well. Of course, it links into your cardinal energy. 5 of Wands here. 6 of Cups. We have the Page of Wands and the 9 of Wands. Not surprised to have all this fire moving through your reading. Another 2 of Pentacles. Chariot. Nice. Oh, beautiful. Nothing can stop you. You're just fueled by something not of this world, Aries, right now. 2 of Wands. Another 3 of Cups coming in there. 6 of Swords, 10 of Pentacles. All the decks I use, by the way, are in the comment and description box underneath. I know a lot of you ask me each month. Oh, another 6 of Wands coming in there. And a 9 of Cups. Beautiful. Something's going to work out well. 4 of Cups. Okay, 6 of Pentacles. Thank you so much, Aries. I'm going to leave it there. So if you're joining me for the extended, I will see you there. Otherwise, you have a beautiful month of June. Take it easy on yourself. Enjoy the energy. Keep rising in love. And I'll see you later. Bye-bye.